Sharpie.
I'm having similar vibes in this little town to ones that I had when I was in Deadwood. And where was Deadwood? North Dakota? Or maybe South Dakota. One of the two Dakotas. I'm out here in the morning, and again, just cool, crisp air. The smells of some of the restaurants, I guess, preparing food. I feel like I'm doing my morning walks in Paris again, and I'm nowhere near Paris. So that hotel I was just, or the restaurant I was just showing, right in the corner, is literally down the corner of where I'm staying. The Ryan Inn. That restaurant, which I think I already forgot the name. Blackboard Inn, I think it was. No, Blackboard something. Fantastic lasagna last night. They said it was Italian night, but you know, the signs, or the permanent signage on the outside of the restaurant said Italian, so I'm not sure what that meant. Regardless, it was fantastic. The chef was a nice guy. My waiter guy / bartender was helpful in giving me some information. I drove up last night to a road called the Highline Road, I believe it was. Probably wrong, but had a pretty good view of the city. Didn't really get any good shots, but I got some video clips of me driving around like a lunatic, looking for a place to photograph. So I'm going to the post office here, which I don't think is open yet. Gotta look at my timekeeping device, aka the phone. Where are we at here? We got 13 minutes. I think we'll keep walking. I'm not sure what that bush is, but another example of enjoying a fragrant walk in the morning. Reminds me of something up north. It's a sort of a pine bush of sorts. Again, sorry to not offer too much information, but I'm on a really cute section here, just a block or two away from the post office. Again, this is like small town, any town, USA. I see a Kennedy for president flag on this porch. Man, if somebody was sitting on the porch right now, not to get political again, I would love to have a quick conversation. It's called the McCarthy House. Maybe it's a bed and breakfast. I'd love to have a chat with this person about what he thinks about his recent endorsement. Major news this week. Anyway, back to the Travel Channel. Wow. So I'm another block up. I actually was chatting extremely briefly with a couple of people sitting out on their porches, just complimenting them on their town here. I'm going to turn the camera around for a second. So there's a thing called the Pulaski Trail that Alice Ford had talked about. If I was here another day, I might consider that, but look how tall the trees are. There goes a cat. It really looks like this area is being rejuvenated, or it's extremely well kept. And you see some bed and breakfasts and various inns, and people sitting on their porches that are just obviously proud of their neighborhood by the short chats that I've had. So I just want to chat a little bit. Maybe I might dip my toe into a political world here for a second, but you know, ever since I've been following this, probably since before the 2016 election, trying to figure out where I stood on different things, really did consider myself a moderate or a classical liberal. Kind of like, you know, leave me alone, I know what I'm doing with my life. I agree that the federal government needs to do certain things, but they don't need to control your life. By the way, I'm going to get way off topic here. Check this house out. And my views haven't changed that much, but what has changed is the Overton window. You know, the Democratic Party, which I used to be a part of, has changed so much. Again, it shifted, and that box moved, and now here I am standing where I am, and I could be considered, you know, far right in the eyes of some people. But I never changed. The federal government's supposed to do what it's supposed to do, but it's become way too big and gotten involved in way too many parts of our lives. And nowhere is that more evident when you walk around a town like this. You just have that feeling that everybody on their porch, everybody in this area that's rejuvenating this area on their own, and everybody that lives up in the hill there, I just get this feeling that everybody's like, you know what? Stay out of my life. The states and the local governments are way more in tune to what your needs are than DC. It's kind of like the Hunger Games. Well, it's not really like the Hunger Games, but it's kind of similar. That's my little rant. Back to the Travel Channel, and I'm almost at the post office. Speaking of federal government, do they still run the post office? So I think I'm going to do a little bit of a walking tour here. In fact, I knew that leaving because I have it's called a walk through history. I just want to point out a couple of buildings here, maybe add a little bit of narration if needed. That was the Elks Lodge. First of all, before I get into too much of this one would be for Frank. I just had a 15-minute conversation with a gentleman who I had saw. It's one of the guys that I nodded to and just said a couple of quick words with. He was on his porch, and he was sitting with his wife opposite the post office, and I walked across the street because I just had a feeling he wanted to ask me something, and we just had a little conversation for about 15-20 minutes about this area, about what I'm doing. I was asking them where their favorite places were. They were very interested in what I was doing, and it would have been a great time to actually get the camera out and record them, but I was embracing the moment and connecting with these people, and that's really what I wanted to do on this trip. I might not be documenting that part of it yet, but I'm getting better at talking to strangers. Hey, oh, check out this alley here. I think I might walk down this alley. I gotta get out of the sun. Got a little sidetrack there. Came around the corner and saw a family with multicolored hair. Thought that was odd. They looked at me recording into this thing and thought that was odd. By the way, Frank, check this alley out. Could we have not shot that fight scene for the Kahana documentary in this alley? I mean, look at this thing.
Where are you going, pretty boy?
Always love that word, haberdashery. So I'm walking around again. This is another cool building that's on my tour. Check it out. It's called the Historic Wallace, well no, that's just the town. It's an insurance company. I'm gonna walk up this hill here because I want to try to get a better visual of the town. Alright, so I'm slightly out of breath. Slightly. I found the view I was looking for last night. Check this out. There's the town. Kind of off to the left. It's not perfect. Got a tree in my way as he falls down the stairs. That's interstate. This would be great without the interstate. Well, it'd be great without the interstate noise. A little bit about these hills here, which seems like a good time to jump over to my conversation I had with, I think his name is Ron, and his wife. His wife was telling me how, because I said I was looking at this town and all the hills around here and trying to find a good vantage point last night. And again, let me do a quick pan of the hills. I was trying to find a good place to photograph the town, and I noticed there weren't any homes up here. There was no roads. There was no way to get up there. She said this town's been fighting that a lot, especially recently, because of people that want to come in and build up there, build homes with views, and they're really, as a town, they're fighting that. Again, it's not, well, for this channel it is about capturing it on video, but it's also about breaking those communication barriers for me personally and having interesting conversations with people around the country, because it's one of the reasons I'm doing this. It's not really just about photography. It's not about the scenery. It's about understanding the people who live in this country and make this country what it is. All right, back to the tour. So this across the street is the Hale building, according to my map. And then over here is the Shoshine Courthouse. So another somewhat interesting factoid about this area, there was a fire, a major fire back in, oh, look at this cute flower shop. The Cordell, oh, it's a hardware store, never mind. Apparently a lot of this town burnt down. Late 1800s, early 1900s. Again, not totally sure because this is a discount tour. Everything was either rebuilt, it looks like. I don't know what I'm talking about actually. It just looks cool. You know, I'm in a little town like this, walking around and appreciating what that woman said about slowing down the progress and fighting the building of those homes up on the hillside here. And as somebody who likes to wander through a town and view it as a museum of sorts and appreciate just the gorgeousness of this, the way it is now, I appreciate that. I welcome that. I had a thought. I'm not sure where I'm going with this. Hold on. Fine line between appreciating preservation and looking at somebody who's preserving or trying to preserve as somebody with just a clipboard in their hand and too much time in their hands. I don't know. Did that make sense? Probably not. I guess I can circle back and tie this all in a neat bow. That feeling I just had of appreciating the preservationist and looking at them as the enemy. It's very similar to what's going on now politically, not only in our country, but in my mind sometimes. It really depends on you personally and where you stand and whether you view government as a tyrannical government or one that's, fighting for the interests of the populace. I don't know, it's all subjective. It's all subjective. But again, we got way off track, and we're talking about a small town. You know, I started thinking about gentrification when I saw that printing building established in the 1900s, and I thought it'd be a great building for a bunch of hipsters to get a hold of and turn this into lofts. But again, why? You know, what would be the draw for them to be here? And somebody who's lived here, like for example, for 27 years, like Ron and his wife, are not going to appreciate that. I wonder what it was like before the interstate went through here. I'm on the corner of 7th and something or other. That was the one of the viaducts that I walked up. It may have been the one that I did, actually. I think it was. I'm walking in a big loop. It's a pretty small town. This is the city hall. It says city hall, but it looks like the fire department. About ready to bust out of here. This tour is almost over. Across the street we have the W.A. Simmons building. As you can see, the lettering is offset by about 6 inches, creating an extreme shadow. Not that I'm a sign critic now. Alright, so we're about ready to get out of here. Should probably tie this up in a nice neat bow in some sort of narration closing.
Alright. This is what happens when one has an obsession with pamphlets. You know, my daughter and certainly my ex-wife were laughing at me at, is this camera straight? The amount of travel pamphlets I was grabbing. I literally have enough pamphlets to create a visitor center in my condo. So I'm not sure how to end this trip. And I've got one more full day. I toyed with bike riding the Hiawatha. I had a pamphlet here somewhere. Of course I did. I think I packaged it up. I might have a spare one though. Stand by. Alright, this place here, Ride the Hiawatha. If I don't do it today, it's something I want to do in the future. From what I could tell, this route takes, it's a little confusing on the pamphlet here. As far as the rates, whether it includes a bike, there's a shuttle, that it's like all downhill and then they drop you. I might still do it. I'm not sure. Again, I'm still trying to figure the day out. But what I think I probably will do is this little walk through history. Just like a walk through Wallace. And it just talks about different places and buildings, and maybe I'll read this and video that. But what I would really like to do, and I'm not sure if this is going to happen, but I had a conversation with my friend Frank yesterday, and I really want to start doing, not necessarily interviewing people, but getting more people on film. I've been saying that just ad nauseum on this vlog, and have yet to really do it. This seems like the perfect place for that. If I could just get a couple of people here in the town to talk about what they're doing in their store, or why they like this place, or their history, anything to bring some interest to this travel vlog, I would be grateful if that happened. So that's my intention. I'm going to walk down to the post office and maybe try to find a couple of people that I can put on camera. Leaving here, got to leave here by 11, and then after that, I want to take a scenic drive, and I'm either going to end up in Bozeman because my flight leaves tomorrow, or, this is a crazy plan here, head down to West Yellowstone and stay in Under Canvas, which was the same place that I stayed at when I started this with Denise. Reason being, I think it would be a unique place to stay to kind of bookend this trip, or this season, shall we say. But also a kind of a place for me to possibly see wildlife again, possibly photograph a nice sunset, which I don't think it's going to be cloudy tonight though, but surely to photograph some stars. And The challenge, though, would be it's a little bit longer of a drive, and I would have to wake up earlier to make it to my flight. I could think of a worse place. Or a worse place is to miss a flight, though. This is beautiful out here. Anyway, so that's the plan. We're going to take a little walk, maybe do a scenic drive, and then end up somewhere. And that's the big mystery of the day.
So I just realized how much information is really in this walk. There's like 43 buildings that they go in extreme detail on. We're obviously not going to cover all that. I'm about ready to bust out of this town, but I think what I'll do is I'll just talk about the first 5. And they're in this area right here, which is where I am. I'm like right here. So let's go to the first one. The Depot.
All right, I was looking through some of this footage here, and I realized I didn't really say anything about any of these 5 buildings. Anyway, we're going to talk about, there's like 43 buildings on this list with a map and a pretty good description of what's what. We'll talk about the first 5, and if you hear some crunching in the background, that is in fact the cat eating dinner. Anyway, we'll start here with it's called the Northern Pacific Railroad Depot Museum. This thing was finished in 1902. It says this elegant brick and concrete edifice, both ornate and picturesque, was built in chateau style. It says it's a reflection of the tastes of the company and the times. They say the concrete blocks were made from tailings from concentrates of major Coeur d'Alene mining district mines. I have no idea what that means. Cool little fun fact here. It says the original structure was moved from its original location on the north side of the river in 1986. And now it's a cool little museum. Probably should have gone in there when I was there. We're going to move over to the James Hotel. Right from the book here, it says, what does it say here? Built for Theodore Jameson to replace the frame structure of the same name and location, this pair of concrete block 3-story buildings originally had matching cornices. The facade has been painted, the structure has been restored with vintage furnishings indoors and out, and the interior is designed to make the 2 buildings function as one. Though its purpose has evolved over the years, the building remains a testament to the town's vibrant past and its role as a hub for those seeking fortune in the Silver Valley. There wasn't really anything about the Suites Hotel here in this paper, but with its inviting brick facade and vintage charm, the Suites Hotel is a reminder of Wallace's prosperous past. Built in the early 1900s, it catered to miners, rail workers, and visitors looking for a comfortable place to stay. Though time has changed its function, the building still exudes the character of Wallace's golden era, whispering stories of the countless guests who once passed through its doors. Wow, that definitely sounds like AI. Whoa! Cat is clawing at the chair. Nope, can't do that. It's time to trim her nails. Anyway, what are we looking at here? It's another building. It's called the Cambia Building. It's thought to be the start or the site of the origin of the 1890 fire disaster that leveled the entire downtown district. Now, Albie's Restaurant and Gem Bar. The Kelly Building, also in 6th Street here, is believed to be the oldest wood frame structure in the business district. This 2-story hotel with a flat roof has a protecting wooden cornice supported by wooden brackets. A smaller cornice separates the first and second floors on the front. In past years, the Kelly Building also had female boarding accommodations upstairs and a hardwood store on the ground floor. They put female boarding in parentheses, so I'm not really sure what we're supposed to imply out of that. Currently, it's the home of the 6th Street Melodrama and Theater. Anyway, there's a bunch of these things here. There's like 43 of them, like I said. I just spent a morning walking around. Figured I'd share some insight into what I was looking at. Back to me on site.
You know, I've mentioned this before. First of all, sun. Whoa! Forgot I had a cup of coffee in my hand. I bought a domain called Bumbling Through Europe. And I'm not sure, well, I kind of had an idea what I was going to do. It was going to be finding my way, because I love travel, and I've always loved European travel. And when I was traveling Europe, oh, that's what it is. Hold on, we're going to do one more home on this tour, one more building. Across the street from me is this Oasis building, and I always wondered what it was. It's a Bordella museum. Add that one in as a bonus. Wow, I see people riding by on their bikes. I think that's part of that Hiawatha bike trail. Maybe. So anyway, I bought that domain Bumbling Through Europe, and I realized that's kind of what I'm doing now. Bumbling Through America. I also bought that domain, by the way. After my 50 at 60, I might continue that. Ramp those two websites up and document my travels through America as I continue into my retirement years, if I can travel. I think the trick is finding out how to travel on a budget. There's no way I could maintain this style of... I've got to find a way to do this cheaper. There's plenty of ways, but put on a backpack and jump on a bicycle, that's one way. Live on the street. Not sure if we're going that route, but anyway, I am bumbling through, and I think sometimes that's the best way. You know, my brother-in-law shared with me his itinerary of his Hawaii trip coming up, and it had stuff planned down to the minute. Every day there was stuff that they were not obligated to do, but were booked, you know? I'm not a fan of that kind of travel. I just like things to unfold. Do I get the most out of it? Probably not. How bizarre. Am I in focus here? So I had an original plan of interviewing some people in town that obviously failed. Talked to a lot of people, and I did my little tour. I think what I'm going to do now is I've decided to go back to, you're going to think I'm nuts, but Coeur d'Alene. I found some really cool scenic drives, two of them in particular, one that goes along a river, one that goes along the lake. And we're just going to do that. I'll video along the way, and I'll take you along for the ride. Let's go.
Well, this is turning into an epically long vlog, and I think I'm going to have to cut it short here. There's just a couple of more things I want to take you out with here. Again, I'm leaving this town of Wallace. One of the things I did a rather long chat from the car. I'll try to edit that down. It was kind of a wrap-up of how I was feeling from the day, some of the people I was talking to. And by the way, I'm talking into this microphone, and apparently the cat thinks I'm talking to her. So she's come up to say something. She's rubbing her face in the mic. You want to say something? She usually meows on cue. I just wanted to say thanks to Donna from the Ryan Hotel. It's a great place to stay if you're in the Wallace area. She really told me a lot about the town. I really wish I would have interviewed her or had her on film a little bit more than I did. I really just had her talking a bit about this puzzle creation that she had commissioned an artist to create this. She had some ideas. I videoed part of that, and I'll share that video and a screenshot of the guy's website as well. We'll just take you out to a little bit of footage of me driving through Wallace one last time, and that footage of her, and then a little bit of me chatting in the car, and then we'll continue this again. Be a part 2, I guess, on the next episode. Again, thanks for being here, and well, thanks for watching.
This is something that I had created. I commissioned this with the artist Greg Visentainer because it encapsulates Wallace and all of its charm. So this is the Wallace Depot, and the Ryan Hotel is right here. Dante's Peak, the state of Idaho is in here.
Wow.
So it starts up here, wiggle, wiggle, wiggles, down. And I had him put a heart where Wallace is exactly on the map.
Oh, how awesome is
Isn't
that?
that cute?
I would have never known that by staring at that. Cool.
Jack Lake Miner. I mean, it all represents Wallace. I had the I Love Wallace temporary tattoos right there. The red Solo Cub, Depot Days. There's an eagle. Stein Bar. That's around the corner. That was featured in the movie Dante's Peak as well. My dad's middle name was Wallace, and he loved trains. When Greg finished this, and I had asked him to put a train on here, never thinking that it would be the train that was sitting on my dad's desk when he passed away. The same one. Just the same look.
You know, now that I've kind of switched gears and I'm driving again on my way to the beginning of what I think is going to be a pretty cool scenic drive. Again, I'm heading back west toward the Coeur d'Alene Lake, and I'm in no rush to get back. I mean, why rush to Bozeman just because I have a flight tomorrow midday? I still don't know where I'm going to stay yet. But that's part of the beauty of bumbling through America, as it were. Anyway, I'm thinking out loud here. I'm just replaying in my head some of the conversations I had today, where I succeeded, where I maybe went wrong, could improve, and I'm realizing that sometimes I interject my opinion too quickly to maybe drive a narrative or drive an opinion or the storyline or the conversation, when I need to just shut the hell up and ask questions. I'm there to learn. I did that quite a bit actually with Ron when I was talking to him. He's an older guy with a Army Reserves hat on. Apparently, he stayed in the barracks that were turned into a hotel over. I think he went to Berkeley, the one that's over by Sausalito in that area. But anyway, he liked that area. He mentioned the village. He looked like a staunch conservative sitting there on the park bench, and but yet he could be like me. You know, I was kind of a classical liberal, like I said. I would think I am. The Overton windows changed a bit, but everybody sees this differently. And again, I'd rather hear somebody else's opinion. I don't choose to get into political arguments at all. I just want to learn. And this is a year more than any other year to try to be open to learning about how other people are thinking and why they're thinking certain ways. And deep down, that's probably a third or fourth reason why I wanted to do that this year. in the middle of a really politically charged election season, you know, more than anything I ever remember. Did I say anything? I have no idea. Thanks for listening to these rants. If you have an opinion, text in, let us know.